They fined me $675 for a fence that was completely legal, and when my wife calmly told the HOA president we weren't paying a cent. That woman lost her mind, screamed in my driveway, and actually called the cops. Imagine standing on your own property while the head of your neighborhood association smirks and says her law enforcement friends will handle this. I didn't know it then, but she'd just started a war she could never win. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags. When Catherine Stone first introduced herself 18 months earlier, she showed up at our door with a basket of artisanal cookies and that perfect suburban smile. We had just moved into Meadowbrook Springs, me, my wife, Tracy, and our daughter, Emma. It seemed like paradise. Good schools, safe streets, friendly neighbors. Catherine was the jewel of the block, everyone said. She'd retired early from real estate to focus on community leadership and had been elected HOA president unanimously. That word, unanimously, should have told me something. People aren't adored unanimously. They're feared. Catherine carried herself like a polished politician always dressed to impress even when walking her dog. And when she looked around our house, it was like she was memorizing the floor plan. Creepy, but at the time, I brushed it off. The first hit came in October. Catherine showed up at my door with a clipboard that looked like it belonged on Wall Street. Brandon. "I hate to be the bearer of this," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy, "but your fence extension violates Section 12.7. She handed me a perfectly bound violation notice, $500. The performance was flawless, like she'd rehearsed in front of a mirror. I was stunned, not by the fine itself, but by the way she acted like she was delivering news from the Supreme Court. My wife, though she shocked me even more. Tracy stood tall, calm, and said, "I'll need 30 days to review this according to appeal procedures." Her tone was sharp professional. I just blinked. When did she learn to talk like that? After Catherine left, Tracy pulled out county letterhead official stationery and began drafting a response that cited statutes and codes like it was second nature. I remember staring at her wondering who the hell I'd married without realizing it. Within days, word of our violation spread. Emma came home from school in tears. Kids whispered that our family didn't respect community rules. For the first time, her perfect grades slipped. Rumors spread faster than wildfire. How had private HOA business leaked to her classmates? That night, I noticed Tracy's county-issued car with an executive staff parking permit on the dashboard. When I asked her, she brushed it off. Something about coordination privileges. It made no sense to me, but the way Catherine eyed her like she'd finally met a worthy opponent gnawed at me. These two women spoke like generals testing each other's resolve. I tried to focus on work, but my construction business began to wobble. 2 clients canceled contracts after hearing we were in trouble with the HOA. The whispers spread into the industry, threatening everything I'd built. Catherine wasn't just handing out fines. She was dismantling my livelihood one rumor at a time. And she wasn't stopping at me, she was strangling my daughter's future. Emma's Stanford application suddenly felt fragile. Teachers noticed her distraction. Her friends pulled away. The pressure crushed her. For the first time in my life, I considered giving up. I sat in our kitchen late at night, head in my hands, thinking maybe we should just move. Maybe Catherine had already won. The idea of watching Emma's dreams collapse because of my stubborn pride made me sick. I felt useless, powerless, like I'd failed my family. But Tracy, she never wavered. While I wallowed in doubt, she worked late into the night, poring over statutes, filing complaints with agencies I'd never heard of, assembling documents with the precision of a seasoned attorney. She wasn't just defending us, she was going on offense. That's when a neighbor appeared, Dave Mitchell. Recently divorced, a little too eager, but armed with binders of information about Catherine. "You're not the first family she's targeted," he told us, spreading papers across our kitchen table. He knew her entire schedule: inspection days, meeting nights, violation patterns. It was eerie, but I was desperate, so I welcomed the help. He even suggested we plant false information at home to see if it leaked to Catherine. Sure enough, the very next day she greeted me with a smile and said, "So how's house hunting?" That was the exact lie we'd floated to Emma the night before. Someone was leaking our conversations. Dave looked furious, said we needed to tighten security. I should have asked why he seemed so invested, why he kept pushing for more details about Tracy's schedule, her job, her authority. But I didn't. I was too busy watching my family fall apart. Then came the morning Catherine crossed a line she could never uncross. She stood in my driveway waving a certified letter, and when Tracy refused to pay the $675 fine, Catherine pulled out her phone, dialed the sheriff, and announced, "My law enforcement friends will handle this." She stood there smirking like she'd already won. My blood boiled. But beside me, Tracy just smiled, calm, steady, almost amused. The deputy arrived, awkward and fidgety eyes darting to my wife like he recognized her but didn't want to say it out loud. I didn't understand why not yet. Catherine strutted like she owned the street, but the deputy's discomfort told me the power dynamic wasn't what she thought. The battle escalated. Catherine organized a massive community meeting, turning the neighborhood center into a stage complete with charts and photos of our fence projected larger than life. She warned that property values would collapse if non-compliance wasn't stamped out. Half the neighbors nodded fearfully. The other half shifted uncomfortably. Then Dave stood up fiery and loud, declaring this was targeted harassment. For a moment I thought he'd turned the tide in our favor, but then he revealed details about our private dinner conversation, the lie about moving. He used it as part of his speech, and I froze. Only our family knew that, except Dave. My gut twisted. Something was wrong. Meanwhile, Emma spiraled further, breaking down during prep sessions, doubting herself, even saying she might drop her advanced classes. I couldn't take it. I wanted to scream, to hit something. But Tracy. She stayed calm, drafting filings, coordinating with agencies, talking in a language I barely understood. "Because I know something Catherine doesn't," she said when I asked why she wasn't panicking. That line haunted me. What did she know? The answer came crashing down at the public hearing. Catherine had petitioned for maximum turnout. The county auditorium overflowed with neighbors, officials, even reporters. Catherine strutted to the podium with binders of evidence charts, legal precedents. Her voice dripped with righteousness. "We cannot allow public officials to think their positions exempt them from community standards." She actually tried to paint Tracy as corrupt, abusing power to avoid fines. Her performance was flawless until Tracy stood up. She walked to the microphone in a sharp business suit, carrying files that looked more official than anything Catherine had. She spoke with steady authority, recommending full coordination with all affected departments and immediate referral to the district attorney. The room went silent. Catherine blinked, confused, like she'd just realized she'd been playing checkers while Tracy was playing chess. That's when the final betrayal hit. During a recess, I stepped outside and overheard Dave on his phone. His words sliced through me like knives. "Yes, Catherine." The misdirection worked perfectly. They believed Harrison was the leak. The relocation lie went through without a hitch. My stomach dropped. Dave had been feeding her our secrets all along for $8,000. When I confronted him, his mask fell off. "Easy money for inside information," he sneered. "Your perfect family made me sick. How was I supposed to know your wife actually runs the county government?" My world spun. Catherine thought she was harassing a powerless county clerk. In reality, she'd been targeting the county commission chair, my wife. Back in the auditorium, the sheriff addressed the room with a formality that made everything click. "Commissioner Phillips," he said, turning to my wife with deference, "we have documented evidence of systematic harassment, false reports, and conspiracy. We request your input before referring this case to the district attorney." The collective gasp from the crowd was deafening. Neighbors realized the truth. Catherine had spent months harassing the very woman who controlled the county's budget and policy, including the sheriff's department she thought was on her side. Catherine's face went pale. "Commission chair. What are you talking about, Dave? You said she was just some clerk?" Her voice cracked. Her empire collapsing in real time. The deputy beside her whispered, not quietly enough, "Holy hell, we just tried to serve a compliance notice to the person who approves our department's budget." Every head turned. Catherine's confidence shattered. The evidence poured in: Dave's payment records, his texts, his visits to Catherine's house. Catherine's campaign crumbled like wet paper. The district attorney's office announced charges within 48 hours. Catherine staggered pale and silent, finally realizing she'd been swinging at a giant the whole time. And me, I stood there stunned, realizing the woman I'd married, the calm center of the storm, had been holding cards none of us understood. Catherine thought she had power. She thought the sheriff would back her. But she'd been fighting the very system she claimed to control, and now everyone knew it. Sometimes the person you think is weakest is the one holding all the power.